I wasn't the biggest fan of this book. It was such a good book. It was such a cool take. I actually met Ashley C. Ford. Alrighty guys, what is up guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Bridget Underduck. Thank you so much for clicking. We're gonna do something a little bit different today. I'm not really going to rant, or maybe I technically will be ranting, about basically the books that I read this summer. This is coming from someone who literally doesn't read, okay? Let me tell you guys, I'm gonna straight up. Before, like this year, did not like reading. And I decided to like give you guys a little non-reader book review. So this is coming from a girl who never really liked reading, but is now getting into reading. So I'm gonna give you guys the real tea on the books that your girl read and what were her hot takes, her ratings, good, bad, everything like that. I don't have the copies of the book because I borrowed them from the library. Little tip. Really try not to buy books unless you really know you're actually gonna read it again. And also it keeps you on your grind because you basically have a deadline of reading the book. Yeah, let's get into the books that I read. A little pat on my back for reading. The first book that I read was Somebody's Daughter by Ashley C. Ford. It was so good. I actually met Ashley C. Ford. I'm so mad I don't have a picture with her. She came to the Women in Business conference. The conference was actually on my birthday, which was so cool. It was such a good read. I really liked it. I will say it is a little bit long, so that would probably be like my own little like downside of it. But again, that's coming from someone who barely reads, so I will say it is a little bit on the longer side. So definitely pace yourself when it comes to reading those types of books. But what I really liked about her book specifically, she made it very personal. Because you know, when it comes to like sometimes biographies, it can very much be a lot of facts. But what I really liked about hers is that she gave a lot of key takeaways and a lot of just great goals that you can give yourself and great quotes that came out. Some of the advice she got from her mother, and even some of the life experiences that she's had in her family growing up in Indiana. Like all these experiences, like she really just mainly teaches the audience about something that they can take away from her story. The rating I would give Ashley C. Ford's Somebody's Daughter would be probably 9.5 out of 10. Again, I'm taking a little bit of a 0.5 away simply because of the fact that it was a little bit long. All right, the next book is for my rom-coms. Yeah, I definitely cannot lie, I love a good rom-com. It's definitely getting like trending, I think, over social media with like romantic books, so I'm here for it. But the book I read was While We Were Dating by Jasmine Guillory, if I'm saying that right. I'm so sorry if I butchered her last name. It was good. It was a pretty cute love story for sure. I will say some of the like really like, we'll keep it PG, like the steamy scenes, they were kind of repetitive a little bit. Like it was like the same scene basically over and over again. And I wasn't like a huge fan of that. There definitely was not a lot of versatility in that regard. But no, it was a really cute story, I think, overall. You know, it was a little bit on the cliche side for sure, but I would say it's definitely a good, it was a good read. I can see people maybe reading it on the beach, maybe a little beach read, a coffee shop or something like that. If you're getting into reading, it's if you're into like romance books and everything like that, I would say it's a pretty good book. So I'm gonna give While We Were Dating 8 out of 10. I would give her an 8 out of 10. All right, the next book that I read was This Bird Has Flown by Susanna Hoffs. So out of the books that I read, this would probably be my least favorite. I wasn't the biggest fan of this book. Not only was the book kind of long, it was a very thick book. Again, I'm a beginner, so it definitely was very long and wordy for me. Also, it was a little bit of the language too. I would definitely say if you're more of an advanced reader, you should maybe get into this book. Very like chaotic with like the vocabulary. And even the story too, like it was kind of like hard to like follow along. Like, she was trying to go for like a character who has like a lot of like mixed feelings and a lot of thoughts roaming her on her head, which I mean obviously I can relate to because I have overwhelming thoughts, you know what I mean? Even the story too, the guy that she met on a plane, and the guy was like doing like his own thing like in like I think it was London or something like that, but there were some cute quotes in there. Yeah, I would say for someone who's more of like an advanced reader, you should definitely read this and take your time with it. I'm gonna give This Bird Has Flown by Susanna Hoffs a 6 out of 10. It wasn't my favorite, but it wasn't like terrible. Okay, the next book that I read is Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. I really love this book. The book actually was very long, and I randomly found it in the library, and it was really popular that actually the amount of time I had the book was kind of cut short because I think there were people that had it on hold. Like I only had a little bit of time to read it, but dude, I absolutely love this book. It was such a good book. It was such a cool take. I'm also someone who doesn't like science too. Like me and science, we never fit, okay? But the analogies that she made with chemistry along with like everything in life was so cool, especially when it came to like women and like how we think and everything like that, and it was just amazing. It has everything: history, science, a cute love story, character development. It has literally everything. There's a reason for why there's so much hype around this book, and I could not say better things about this book. Even though it was long, as someone who's just getting into reading, it was so good. Like, I'm actually saying a lot of details about this book, and it basically shows how good this book was. I'm gonna give Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus a 9 out of 10. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 because, again, it was a little bit longer. But again, even though it was long, it was a really good reason. All right, the latest book I read, I actually just finished it today, actually, which is Happy People Are Annoying by Josh Peck. This book was so good because, like, obviously I was intrigued to pick up the book because it's Josh Peck. When he was on Drake and Josh, he was hilarious and I absolutely loved him. And I was just really curious on what he had to say. And also the title too definitely intrigued me, like Happy People Are Annoying. Out of all the books I've read, if you're someone who's trying to get into reading, this book is definitely a good start. It's not too long. And what I really like about this book specifically is that it feels like you're talking with a friend almost. He's also hilarious, obviously, because we all know, like, most of us know him from Drake and Josh. But he's so vulnerable in this book. And he really opens up about, like, some of the dark stuff that's happened in his life with family, growing up, his time on Drake and Josh, like the not so great parts of Drake and Josh. I took a lot away from this book, and it's so crazy because obviously he is very famous, but I feel like I related to him in such a big way. And that's what I love so much about biographies, is that you're able to connect with people, maybe especially celebrities who write memoirs and biographies. It's a really intimate way to connect with people. And this book was really good because it was short and sweet, and it made you feel like you were less alone, and there's great quotes and great takeaways, and I really like this book. I'm actually gonna give Happy People Are Annoying by Josh Peck a 10 out of 10 for sure. It was such an easy read. Out of all the books I read, it was the one I wanted to pick up the most. So those were basically all of the books that I read this summer. I'm actually really proud of myself for that I actually got into reading. Hopefully you guys found these reviews helpful. If you guys want a part 2, I would love to do a part 2 for the other books I read. Make sure you guys give this video a thumbs up, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Bye!